Welcome to the Scale Model Podcast. In this podcast, we aim to entertain, inform, and promote the hobby of scale model kit building with interviews, reviews, and news about the hobby. The Scale Model Podcast is currently recorded bi-weekly and is available where your favorite podcasts are found, including iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, as well as our website at www.scalemodelpodcast.com. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions at scalemodelpodcast@gmail.com or at our Facebook page at facebook.com/Scale Model Podcast. We also publish extra video content on our YouTube channel, and we also have a Patreon page at patreon.com/Scale Model Podcast. The money raised will be used to help offset web hosting and other costs. As the podcast grows, we hope to introduce giveaway and other bonuses to our Patreon supporters as a thank you for supporting the Scale Model Podcast. Welcome to the Scale Model Podcast, episode 39. And this week we are live from the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum near Hamilton, Ontario, as the guests of both the museum and our good friends at IPMS Hamilton. And this is actually a combined show. So first of all, I'm going to introduce my regular co-host, Anthony Goodman, who we actually got out of the deep, dark basements of Goodman Heavy Industries. Anthony, how are you, sir?
Hi, Stu. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. And we also have a very special guest, a gentleman who's probably you guys have heard before. You've heard us mention his podcast. We even say good things about it. And that is David Goldfinch of On the Bench.
G'day, listeners. I actually managed to get through Canadian Customs.
We
So
tried.
how's that?
We tried. But no.
It was 50-50 for a
50-50. Well, apparently they knew David's wife, Michelle, was coming. And we knew Michelle's sister would be very pissed off if she couldn't come and see her sister. So, as usual, we don't count. We were just carrying the bags, right?
Yes.
And we also want to welcome Alan Murrell. He's the president of IPMS Hamilton. And we're going to be talking to Alan a bit about Heritage Con. He's been a guest on the show before.
Hi, how you doing? And welcome to the museum.
Okay, and we also have Ian Fraser. Ian Fraser is the chief judge of Heritage Con. And we decided for the Moosaroo Cup we needed two very specialized judges and ones who couldn't be bribed because we tried. So Ian, welcome to the podcast as well.
Well, thank you for having me on, and welcome to Canada.
So what we're going to start off with our kind of our news, our stuff like that. And then we're going to go on to What's the Scoop? Anthony's got a very special What's the Scoop this week. And then we're going to talk about what everyone, our vast studio audience is here for. Applaud, vast studio audience.
Wow, you guys sound huge.
They're huge. Well, thousands and thousands are here. Yeah, in the vast recesses of the dome, I believe it's called, at the museum here. So we will do the Moosaroo Cup, and then we'll talk about what's on everyone's bench. So yeah, you guys better think what's on your bench over there. Just saying. Okay, first off, a bit of sad news for those of us in Canada. Derek Pennington, who founded IPMS Toronto many moons ago, we sadly heard he passed away in the last couple of weeks. Most of us here have met Derek, a very unique character, shall we say, in the modeling world, but a very much one of the reasons there's a lot of IPMS chapters. Ian, Alan, do either of you have any thoughts about running into him?
Derek was a very interesting member of whatever club he joined.
Yes.
He had a really interesting sense of humor that would get people both engaged and laughing in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wonderful person.
He was.
Yeah. He's actually one of the reasons I got into competitions in the first place, and one of the reasons I got into judging.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's what we'd like to see.
He was
Sorry.
very much into getting juniors involved too. Him and
Yes.
Bernie Hans group, very good at getting juniors involved in the hobby.
Yep. No, I remember meeting him when I was just a wee lad. And yeah, quite a character. And yeah, the modeling world's a bit sadder for his loss, but
Yes.
our sympathies from our podcast go out to him and his family. Okay, moving on. A lot of modeling news as always. So we're going to go right to Revell. They've got some interesting February releases, and if the fellow panelists feel free to chime in for anything here, because otherwise people think I know what I'm doing.
Don't forget to reference our wonderful Patreon supporters.
Oh yes, I see. I'm totally out of it, right? Yeah. So before I do that, sorry. Yes, I do have to thank our latest Patreon supporter, Garvin Lee. We really appreciate the support they have. So feel free to contribute as well at Scale Model Podcast at patreon.com/Scale Model Podcast. Both us and On the Bench, we use Patreon to help pay for our hosting fees and things like that. We also do giveaways and things like that. So it's a really good program. It's really, really easy to do.
Thanks, Garvin.
Thank you. Anthony's keeping me on track this week. Thank goodness, because I'm not keeping on track, am I? All right, what do we got for February? Anyone? Are you still typing?
Yes.
All right, well, that's no good. Okay, February releases. We have a bunch of new kits. So this is Revell, Germany, 2020. So we're going to start off with a Mirage F1C, 1/72nd scale, €25. Now, didn't the Australians use Mirages?
Yeah, we did use Mirages, the
I
Mirage
think it's
3.
Oh, okay. This is
Yeah.
the F1. This is the earlier F1. This was the basic version optimized for all weather. It looks like it's going to come with a nice cockpit with seat, tanks, couple of Matra guided weapons, 2 nasal segments. I think
Yeah.
they've maybe
Nacelle, I think it's
nacelle. I
supposed
think
to
they
be.
mean there, and decals for 2 versions of the French Air Force. This actually looks a really attractive
That's a
scheme.
fun scheme.
Yeah, it looks
The
like a fun
star.
anniversary. Yeah, you got a little shark fin under there as well. Next up is a Junkers F13, 1/72nd scale, 77 parts, €13. So basically, first flight, all metal. It was the first world's all-metal commercial aircraft. On the 25th of January, 1919 was its first flight. Advanced cantilever wing monoplane with enclosed accommodations for 4 passengers. 322 were produced. Corrugated iron structure, detailed passenger cabin. There's a C version and there's a Gdansk and Swiss version. You know, I'm looking at the detailing of the corrugated metal. That's pretty cool for 1/72nd.
It is, and it was quite an advanced aircraft for its age. So 1919 this flew, and it was, one of the first passenger aircraft. But, geez, looking at that single engine, it must have been woefully underpowered.
Oh, one would think so, but
Yeah.
1919.
But very interesting modelling subject.
Yeah.
For those of you who like building your airliners, and I'm sure that you'll get a lot of fun out of that. I'd hate to be doing the decaling though on those
on the corrugated. I think you'd be
corrugations.
using a lot of decal solution there,
Yeah,
eh?
or paint,
Or
paint it on.
masking,
Yeah.
masking, exactly. Okay, next up is an A-10C Thunderbolt II, the famous American ground attack aircraft in 1/72nd scale. 113 parts, €19.99. A very interesting scheme on this one. It almost looks like a World War II anniversary scheme. It's got the D-Day stripes.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it's totally an anniversary edition.
Yep, exactly. So that looks pretty cool. Again, not much to say. I'm sure it's a repop. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But that looks, I know I've seen a few of these ones in the D-Day screen. For those of you who hate to do D-Day striping, I'm raising my hand. More challenges for you. Okay, moving up, 1/35th scale, the SD KFZ 251-1. This is the A model, and it was used as a medium armored infantry fighting vehicle. So yeah, they're standard half track for the Panzer Grenadier battalions. So apparently this is and again, I confess I am not a German armor person, but apparently this is currently the only plastic model in 1/35th of the early A version, apparently.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so some vinyl tracks. So I'm sure this fills a gap that some people are gonna do. I'm always surprised when you think after all the years you've got your Tamiyas, your Dragons, you think they would have covered everything by now. And I'm always surprised
so much
when they
stuff
don't.
comes out of the ground or the woodwork on this German stuff.
Again, this blows me away. This is a pretty common half track.
Yeah.
So why, but apparently it's the
it's
only
just
one
a
available.
special version.
But no, it's an early version. It's the first one no one's ever done one before.
Wow.
So
that's hard to believe.
unless you probably have resin kits or something like that. Okay, moving on. We've got an assault ship. I know some shipbuilders down in Australia that might like this.
Don't even get me started on this one. So this is a USS
Tarawa.
Tarawa LHA-1, and the scale is 1/720. I mean, come on, who builds in that scale
I
on
know.
ship models?
I know the odd
So you're either
scale.
building 1/700, 1/600, maybe 1/1200 if you're doing war gaming, 1/350 scale, and 1/200, maybe a couple 1/35ths and 1/72nds for patrol boats and that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
1/720.
Who does that? It's like
Oh,
like
no.
Airfix when they did
And
the 1/400.
This is what gives me headaches whenever I read stuff from Revell. They do these really strange scales for ships. I just don't know why.
Is it
Yeah.
a repop?
Probably.
I got no idea. But
I'm
either
pretty
way,
sure it would
it's,
be.
I
That's
can
the
guarantee it won't
scale
be.
almost-
They've had this before. I remember.
it's box
You know what?
scale.
I'm pretty sure it is because I'm looking at this, and I remember building one of these when I was a young lad.
Well, I can guarantee you that will not find its way into my stash.
No? Okay. See, this is why I purposely put it on here. I had to wind him up with something because David's rants are legendary. So okay, how about this? I like fire trucks. Do you like fire trucks? You work
Yeah,
with the
they're
damn
red,
things.
and I work with the things all the time.
Yeah.
and,
So this is a Mercedes-Benz 1017 LF16 124 scale.
And you know what? There's a special interest group out there who like just building fire trucks.
Yeah, there is.
And
I get
it's
that.
quite a big little group, and they're very passionate about their fire trucks. So I'm sure those guys are going to get a real bang out of this. 70 euros, it's not too bad for
70.
1/24th scale.
Yeah, 172 parts, only almost 30 centimeters in length.
And the detail looks to be
It looks actually
really,
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
neat
nice.
vehicles, and they're something everyone sees, especially when you're a kid, right? And that
Yeah.
always seems to
Mm-hmm.
be, those are kind of sometimes the subjects that speak to you, things that you grew up around.
And the thing I'm blown away is look at the detail in the equipment bay.
That's awesome.
You know, that looks very, very good. The one thing we'll do is if we ever do this live podcast again, I'm going to tie my laptop to a projector, and that way our poor audience knows what the heck we're seeing. Because normally I know when you guys do it, we normally have show notes, and you can follow along at home. So, all right, moving on to a bike. Who likes bikes? Is it you or?
Well, I used to
Yeah.
ride motorcycles, and I've built a couple of
That's right.
model bikes. I built a Zundup, and I think Julian's actually built
Julian's,
one as well.
I think it was Julian I'm thinking.
But
so this is
a strange one, the Yamaha 250 DT1, which is an odd-looking bike.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have imagined it. If I was the marketing guy at Revell, there's no way I'd be saying, yeah, let's pick that bike to model it and sell it.
maybe it's a repop. So 1/12, it looks like a dirt bike basically.
Yeah.
61 parts. But now what's interesting is they're calling it a level 5, so they're calling it fairly sophisticated. So who knows? But anyway, we thought we'd have a look at that. Again, yeah, you're right. I always see, it's funny, up here in Canada, I always see a lot of trucks at the IPMS shows. I never see a lot of bikes. I don't know.
I'm going to say it's the same back home too. We
Yeah?
don't see a lot of motorcycles. There are a few that pop up in the shows, but not a huge amount. And it's a bit of a shame because it's a real... If you've never built one before, you get a really understanding of how hard it is when you actually try to build one and get it right.
Right.
Because there's no weathering on it, so you've got nowhere to hide with any sort of seams or anything like that. It is what it is, and it's there in front of you. And if you haven't done a good job, it shows up.
Well, I'm also blown away with a lot of the aftermarket stuff. I know one of the other podcasts, Scale Model Shed out of England,
Yeah.
a couple of those guys have built some bikes, and some of the stuff you can get aftermarket from places like Hero Boy and that, like individual link chains for the things. It's, there's definitely a huge subset of people who are building the bikes. Okay, let's move on with Italary. Their 2021 and 2020 collection. We're just going to really kind of just bounce our way through. There's a few things here. A lot of stuff that's considered new. Now again, you see it's Italary. They're also working with World of Warships, and they got that funny scale too.
Which is-
we talk about cross licensing.
Yeah, we do, but World of Warships, and it's funny
video
because
game.
driving in here, Alan picked me up from the station to drive me in here, and we were talking about this, and it's a good gateway entry to get the kids in, because the kids are playing World of Warships and
Yep.
World of Tanks and all that, and the modelling companies are developing kits now which the kids can buy to sort of go with their favourite tank that they get on the screen, and they get little medallions or tokens to give them extra points within the game or something like that. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, but that's basically it. But it's a good
getting,
example.
It's getting
yeah.
the kids into it, and
Yep.
that's a good thing.
It's a good example of the cross licensing if it gets the younger ones into them, because you always hear people saying the hobby's dying, and we all know here it's not dying, it's just evolving.
Well,
Maybe there's not as many kids, but more of us are into it.
Look how many sort of models have come across from World of Warcraft. Oh, not World
Yep.
of Warcraft. What's
World
it
of
called?
Tanks,
No,
World
no. What's the one where they build all those fantasy ones?
You mean Games Workshop?
Yeah, Games Workshop. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a huge crossover
Yep.
from there.
Yep, exactly. Well, and the stuff you convert. There's that PO1, that Polish tank.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Recently
Yeah.
finished. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so interesting. So they have Italary's going to do a new mold 148 scale Lightning II. It looks like in British markings. Aren't you guys buying some of those too? Australian?
We're
You're
buying
buying
a
a few?
lot. Yeah,
You're buying a lot?
we're having
Okay.
trouble getting rid of our FA18s.
Well,
we sold them to you, didn't we?
if you quit putting the cheroos on it, it doesn't take so much time for us to get those things off again. You know, you're supposed to take those off before they leave the country. We have no kangaroos here. So anyway, that looks nice. Yeah, so just quite a few existing items. A Tornado GR4, and that's going to be in 1/32. That'll be a big kit. So an awful lot of different things. Now, this is funny because I see they're reproducing the F-104 Starfighter cockpit. I don't know if some of you probably remember years ago, I think it was 1/8 or 1/12, they did this one, and they did the F-16 cockpit. And yeah, I had the F-16 one. You could detail the heck out of this.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That's still around. A lot of new military vehicles. Looks like some sort of I can't even read that. See, I'm getting old. Semovent M42.
Yeah.
Want to try that? Is that what it is?
Semovente?
Looks like an assault gun.
Semovent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
135th
does.
comes with photo etch plus the Sturm Tiger, which is basically a Tiger chassis, and they put a great bloody mortar in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So yeah,
Italeri, another one of these companies that gives me a headache from time to time. But
at times, yeah.
But you've got to give them credit because they're getting right into the wargaming side of stuff now, and as I said, they're doing the entry level stuff for the kids
Yeah.
as well. So they're doing their bit for the modelling.
Well,
work.
and they're still big at doing these diorama sets. I know you've talked about these before. Where
That's
you get,
really aiming at the wargaming.
yeah, the
segment.
wargaming side. So and they've got some fairly nice for the truck modelers. A lot of the European truck stuff. So. And quite a few nice cars, some nice Range Rovers. They've got a new Lancia Delta.
Rally car.
Rally
yeah,
car, yeah.
Delta HF.
That's very popular. I see a lot of rally cars at the shows up here in Canada as well. And again, some more bikes. And then, of course, you've got, as we were saying, for the kids, Snap Together, World of Tanks, adhesive stickers. And I know some people poo-poo this, but if it gets the kids interested,
Yeah.
why not? So that's a Tallery from the show. And I just closed my entire browser. Anthony, what's next after a Tallery?
We are going to.
See, the audience always thought we were trained professionals, but they're rapidly realizing they're wondering what the heck.
Rank amateurs.
Yeah, what's next?
We're
Bring up the link.
talking about the Nuremberg Toy Fair.
Oh,
Nuremberg
some
is
big
happening
announcements
right
there.
now, right?
Huge
Yeah,
announcements
lots
coming
going
up.
on.
Lots going on. It's one of the largest, not just for model kits, but toys in general. There's just an absolute ton of different announcements coming out. So we basically we've put a lot. Thank you. We put a lot of links up on the show notes. But just a couple of things. We're not going to go through them all, but just a couple of things.
How about the special
special announcement.
Why don't you start with that?
Sure. So at this year's Nuremberg, the Special Hobby, which I think is a newer player on the market, they are coming out with a Heinkel HE162A Spats in 72nd scale, and so there must have been an announcement that they dropped on.
Yeah, that one's 172nd. Yep,
So that's a new
that's a new one.
mold, and they've got
New
some
mold on
CAD images up here that look pretty crisp.
Yeah, it
I'm
looks
not
like
familiar with that one.
yeah,
Looks like the salamander.
yeah, it looks like I think that's what it is. It's the salamander,
Spats?
basically.
Maybe the
The
Spats, the salamander.
162, 163. Thank you.
Is the
See,
salamander?
this is what's nice about having an audience.
You
163
cracked us.
or two, 2, 3.
The hive mind.
The hive mind.
Yes.
Okay, then we have from Das Work. This one was a Luft 46. And see, my computer just went.
Okay, hold on.
See, I love live.
You gotta roll with it.
Yeah, you
The
got to roll with
DOS
it.
work?
We'll use Anthony's. This is the Das Work. This looks like a pulse jet. Looks like they tied a fuselage with a couple of pulse jets.
Very exciting company, Desk Work. They're
Yeah.
putting out some really interesting stuff, and I think it's going to be quite appealing to the general modelling population.
Yeah, so this is a big 3-in-1.
The Wally?
Kit, 32nd scale, JUEF 126.
Is that real?
No, I think it was
No,
a
it's
Paper.
It was a paper
Look
one.
40, look
Look
46.
46. It was an idea. They basically, it looks like they took a couple of V1 engines, strapped it on the back of an airframe, and again, they were trying all sorts of things. But again, there's a lot of people who like Look 46.
I think
So
it's
this
really
will popular.
fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
1/32 scale, it'll make a great kit.
Yeah, it will. And then we have another one of the, when we talk about paper panzers and what ifs, another one, the German Kugelpanzer. So this, I think these guys also came out with the ones that look like a giant wheel.
Yeah.
The ball.
The ball.
The Russian.
This one
ball.
looks more like a barrel, but again, 1/35th scale. So they're coming out with that.
It exists. It's a real thing.
Did it
There's
exist?
one in the Russian Museum.
Really?
Yeah. The ball.
What was that?
Yes.
The ball was a real thing.
It's just like a remote bomb. You drive it in and it explodes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a Goliath.
Was there not an operator inside?
No, that one no, it's remote.
No. So I know some of the ones they've made, they're showing a what if it has an operator.
Okay, that's the Russian one that.
Yeah, there was some different
There was
ones.
a guy
Yeah.
with the machine guns poking
Yeah,
out the
yeah.
sides. and-
So this is the one that's the remote one.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
remote.
okay, interesting. And then what else do we have? Look, David, another Tiger tank,
Another Tiger tank.
Another
Oh,
Tiger
for goodness sakes.
an Osprey 182. Yeah, just
Tiger 2.
I don't know why, so many. Why do so many companies all go down the Tiger tank route
'Cause they
or the
sell.
P51?
They sell.
Yeah, I know,
they
but
sell.
It begs the question: why is Nazi armor so popular?
Well, that's a whole other question for another day.
Yeah.
And if we're annoying any Tiger fans in the audience, I apologize. Then we've got some radar stuff. Again, great stuff for dioramas.
Is that like a lift, like a 46 kind of what if thing?
No, that was an actual real
That was
one.
real?
That was a real one. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Actual radar. So that's some stuff from
Wurzburg.
the Wurzburg. Are we pronouncing that right?
Of course.
it'll do.
It'll do. All right.
Close
Good
enough's good enough.
Good enough. Okay. And then Tamiya had an absolute ton of static models at the toy fair. A lot of their new releases. I'm just bringing up the Tamiya blog right now. So they got a couple of things. I know I put show notes out or some postings out on Facebook. They have a 124 Ford Mustang GT4 that looks absolutely gorgeous. They've also got the GT4. They've got a 148 scale T55, and I know that got a lot of people excited. There's a lot of
Yep.
people excited. I haven't built their 148 scale line, but I hear very good things about it. So that's
Seems like
kind
it
of
could
cool.
be a good.
It's a nice in-between size, yeah.
A nice project
Yeah.
that you can get through quickly, but still get some meat in the detail.
And then also for Russian armor fans, of course, the 135th KV1. This is all new, so that looks like it's fun. Again, did they have an old mold of the?
I don't know, but
KV1?
any of the new Tamiya stuff, the armour, you can do it in a weekend build almost.
It
So you
just
can
falls
build
together.
it, and then you can spend the rest of the week just painting it up and weathering it. It just goes together so easily. I mean, that Sheridan tank that I bought
Yeah,
for theirs
yeah.
recently, that was a great build. A lot of fun.
Did you know Anthony's a big fan of Sheridan? So it's on his.
I'm dying to get that one.
They're
Yeah.
really cool tanks.
Yeah.
Not bad from aluminium tank, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
bad.
he's,
It's an
he's-
interesting
He's very
life cycle.
excited about that one.
Yeah, I do plan on.
Yes,
doing
yes.
all
He
of
heard you
that.
got that one. He went, oh.
Yeah, I was happy to see you build it up, and nice to hear a good report about it. That no
Exactly.
doubt from
Exactly.
you're gonna get
No
something
rants.
Nice.
Also, for people like French tanks, French light tank, the R35. That's always been an area. They don't seem to, up until recently, always seem to be a shortage of French tanks.
Well, it's only recently, I think, in the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of French tanks sort of coming onto the market now, which is good because it's closing a gap that has existed for quite some time. And, French tanks in their day, they were really good. They
were,
outclassed
yeah.
the German tanks.
It was a world class army, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just
At that
it was
time.
just how it was actually led, I guess, and that caused the issues that they had. I mean, we can go and talk about it at another time, but I'm just really glad to see a lot of French stuff coming out now. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's good to see. I always remember years ago, the only one you ever saw was the Matchbox had the, which Revell has the molds for the 176.
Yes,
They had the char
yes,
and the
yeah.
little light one. I had one of those when I was a kid. Do you remember those?
Yeah, the FT. Yep.
The FT, yeah, I love those Matchbox little.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of those in my collection.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad Revell's got the molds and they're re-releasing some, so that's pretty cool. Okay, the last one we're going to talk about, and again, there's a lot more in our show notes at scalemodelpodcast.com. To come, and as our friends at the Modeling News says, a big new Porsche and 2 small-scale Chieftains from Tacom. So they've got a Jag Tiger in 135th with the Porsche production type. And the other one is the one we really like to see is the Chieftain Mark 10 and Mark 11 as a 2-pack.
I love that Berlin scheme.
The Berlin scheme, the one
Camouflage scheme,
The
right?
red, gray.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I've seen pictures of the real one just down the street, and it blends in. It's unbelievable. A giant tank hides away in the city like that.
Yep. So
I believe there's 2 kits in that box too.
yeah, it is.
Two full kits.
Yep. 6 types of markings, photo etch parts, Lincoln Link style tracks included, and there's a track assembly jig. is also included because I'm mostly an aircraft guy, and I've said this before on the show. My first 35th scale armor kit in recent memory was a Dragon Sherman Firefly, and a lot of people when they hear that they kind of laugh because the tracks on that, they put together tracks absolutely sucked. I fully admit it, I ended up going out to Bronco and buying vinyl ones because they nearly drove me nuts. I can't imagine doing that in that scale, but there's people that do.
Look, I in 1/72nd scale, it's a pity that it is 1/72nd scale
Yeah.
because I would have loved to see it in a larger scale.
Yeah.
But link and length or individual tracks, they're just gorgeous to work with.
Oh, they are.
And they
No, and
look
I see people that do
fantastic.
it. Yep.
And I find it quite therapeutic to sit down and just do the tracks in one evening. Just sit there, just.
Well, and that's what I've heard. And that, like
Yeah.
I said, the people that said, try something else, and you'll resist the urge to drink so much during the,
Yeah, that's
during the
true.
thing. Because apparently these ones were the absolute worst tracks to learn on. It also includes, this is the Big Jag Tiger, part of their Blitz series. So their Blitz series is kind of a high quality but less part count, apparently. So to make that, they've done a few of these. So it's going to include movable suspension, workable tracks, PE parts. Hatches can be posed open and closed, and like I said, a streamlined building process with as few parts to keep the quality. So so that looks pretty good. So again, some more announcements there. Coming soon, going to be available in March, it looks like, from TACOM suppliers. So that's cool. So as I said, I threw up a lot more videos, pictures from various people. So we're just going to finish up. So our good friend, Moscato, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah,
Your
So-
buddy, it's been released.
We've been following this. So John Moscato of the Moscato Hobbies, he's been working on this resin kit. He's calling it the Quincy Row, but it's the Kuei Lun Rao from the Meltrandi Power Armor suit from
Right.
Macross. And we've posted lots of pictures. He's been really cool about showing behind the scenes. So he's created the master. He's doing resin casting of this, and it's just a gorgeous kit. It's in the proper scale. It's just a huge, and 72nd.
1/72nd, yeah, it's a big
just,
kit.
Just giant.
Right.
So it would dwarf the Valkyries, I think.
But
And
we had him on the show, and I know he was
Yes.
talking about the secret project he was working on.
he was working on that, and
Yeah.
so it's finally come to fruition, and I think it's shipping next week. He's got instructions completed. He's got the final. I think he built one up, and it just looks fantastic. I think it's in the $400 Canadian
Right.
price range, and I'm sure it will be a limited run, a hot
Now
release.
let's talk a little bit about the price, because some people may be hearing this.
Yeah, $400 and-
haven't
and,
really heard
scoffing at that.
any of our talk about
Yeah.
resin kits and stuff like that.
Sure. It's a different world, different market.
Yeah, so kind of describe why, so let's say someone comes to you and say, why that beep, 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 should I pay $400 for this?
Yeah. Well, I think the right away with resin kits, you're getting a limited run product. There can't be hundreds of them. You can
Right.
probably, make in the dozens, I would think.
Okay.
And I know that our friends at Return to Kit Forum may probably pick this line up as well, and they're doing resin casting of Moscato's works. But the molds do run out, right? Like the rolls are made out of RTV rubber typically,
Okay.
or commonly. And once you've made your copies, after a while the molds will peel apart, and then you can't get the
really?
the proper
Okay.
pieces out. So they kind of have a lifespan.
So,
And
yeah, limited
that's-
run.
Making that part of the project is actually one of the most time and labor and money costly parts of it,
Right.
to get the rubber. So and they're usually typically it's gonna be an obscure series. Now this suit, the Kuei Lun Rao, came out one time in the 80s in 1:144 scale, so half the size. And even at that size, it matched the same as the Good Guy Valkyrie kit. So I think that's why they chose that. He could get away with it. But
Right.
it's not in scale. It kind of really, kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit.
And you're saying this, but this is going to be a big kit.
Yeah, this would be huge.
This will be a very...
So the resin itself is expensive, and then and we've been following his progress as he's been posting it. It's a lot of effort to actually create all the parts. Like he had to form them to make a master, like the buck, and then create all the molds.
Well, you've got the
and then
pilot in the
cast it.
cockpit.
Yeah,
and you've
opening
got-
cockpit.
Yeah, you got an opening cockpit.
Just a terrific, and it just looks. The thing about Japanese animation, sci-fi stuff, it's really about capturing the proportions, and that clunky MI kit from 1984 is
Was it a
doesn't
little bit
quite look
funky?
like what
Doesn't
you
it quite
see
look
on the
right?
screen.
I know when this was
Yeah.
announced, Anthony was very excited
Oh,
about
that's
it.
pretty good. If I
He was
was a-
very, very excited.
If I was
But-
a wealthy man, I'd
well, there you go.
have a
Did
squad.
we mention patreon.com/go? Any
But,
comments from this?
It's going to be
Well,
beautiful.
the only thing you got to remember is with a resin kit, you're getting something that nobody else makes. The mainstream manufacturers aren't looking at. So it's a real sort of quirky, sort of one-off things that you can't get anywhere else. So
Absolutely.
if you're really that keen to get that particular model kit of whatever it is that makes your juices flow, then you're going to shell out the money. You're going to buy it.
Yeah, I think this is a real, like how can we say like an artisan's production?
Oh, yeah,
right? Like
for
this
sure.
This is miles above
Yeah.
the plastic kit that came out in the craftsmanship, and especially John. He is a real master. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of his resin kits from the same series, and they're all just beautiful. Like sometimes you don't get a great product when you're buying a resin aftermarket.
I have to admit, when I saw some of the ones you had
Yeah,
when you were
they
recording
are
at your place,
crisp and they look great, and
Absolutely, I was
they
blown
fit.
away.
Yep.
And again, sometimes we don't realize in North America and Europe how big Gundams are.
Yeah,
Like,
this isn't
you know,
Gundam though. It's from Macross.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. Mechas. See?
a mecha,
I'm
yes.
corrected constantly because
Yeah.
because here in North America we commonly call that. And Anthony constantly corrects.
You little
Okay,
dogs.
I know. I do it to wind
Just
you up.
kidding, it's all good.
Okay, let's have a look at kind of the hottest kits right now on our good friends at ScaleMates. Now this was actually announced. I saw this late last night.
Yeah.
Revell is coming out with in 2021, so you got to wait a year, in 1/48 scale, an SR-71 Blackbird.
That's going to
New
be snapped
tool.
up.
That's going to be big.
Yeah, that's going to be really
Brand
snapped
new
up.
tool. That's going to be big. That falls under the where the hell do you put it category. So that'll be exciting for some people. Of course,
That's a pretty cool subject.
that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, they're definitely surprised a lot of people there. Of course, we've mentioned the Airfix Bristol Beaufort Mark I. Now, David, you were saying this wouldn't have been the Australian version, right?
No, the Australian version is called the DAP. It's made at Fisherman's Bend in Victoria, and the nose on the Australian versions is different to what the Airfix
what the
one
Airfix
is.
one's
so-
going to be. But someone's going to come out with a conversion kit.
Oh, it'd be a pretty hard conversion kit, I think. So
It's really different?
Yeah.
Maybe
different
Airfix.
airframe?
Hopefully, Airfix once they come out with one.
I don't know. One day, if I ever get to interview somebody from Airfix, maybe
I know,
can have that
I know,
discussion.
I know. We keep trying. Both of us keep trying. It's our.
I feel like I've got like a finger in the
He's
door.
got one finger, but they keep slamming it.
Well,
on
to
him.
be fair, I did get an email recently from Airfix, and they were saying that they're busy with like the Nuremberg show and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, so they'll be getting in contact with me anyway.
Well, that's
when,
good.
When they get back from there, so
Well, whichever podcast gets them first, we'll have bragging rights, but we'll be we'll be really happy if either of us get them because they're doing some really cool
just
things.
promise me if you get them before I get them, just ask them about a 1/350 scale Queen Elizabeth aircraft.
All right.
carrier.
Yes. I think that's one of the standard questions. Everyone wants that. Okay. We talked about the KV-1, the Zvezda Mi-24 and 1/48 scale, the battle helicopter. If there's anything you want to chime in as I go by, please
No,
feel free.
Sylvester,
Yeah.
that's an interesting company because
Russian,
they're really
yeah.
starting to sort of come forward with their stuff, and the quality of the kits are really picked up.
And they have a
Have you
huge
built one?
catalog.
Sorry?
Have you built a Zvezda kit?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
How did you
I've
find
got
it?
a ship, I can't remember which one it is now, but look, they're really good kits, and
Nice.
they're priced right too.
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't quite work out, you don't feel as bad as if,
Yeah.
if you drop, say, $80 on a kit and it didn't work out. You don't mind dropping $20 and
If you have to put a little extra
Yeah.
elbow grease into it.
Exactly. Cool. Edward, I see, is going to come out with a Spitfire Mark I, new tool. I have Airfixes in 1/48.
Are
I
you
have the
gonna get
Airfix
this?
one. Well, I have the Airfix one, so I'm not, I'm a big Spitfire fan, but at the moment I've still got a couple still in the stash to build, and I am trying to be good. We all laugh when we say that, right?
Trying.
We won't buy any kits this year, right, everyone? Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Not until Heritage Con.
Not until Heritage Con. Yeah, that's where I always break the rule. Of course, Tamiya, released their Spitfire Mark I, which is still going strong.
Very popular. That
Yeah,
kit.
the Blackfern Buccaneers. So yeah, again, we're talking about more and more firefighters. The Chernobyl series, they have a whole series there. This is interesting. Trumpeter. I don't know if this is new or not. It says 2019. The Atomic Cannon, Atomic Annie from Trumpeter. You too can lob your own atomic artillery shell.
No, that's already out.
That's
a
already out, yeah,
2019
but people
kit.
are talking about it again.
yeah.
Now, this is the other one I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
The Canadair Sabre Mark IV Airfix is going to come out with that in this year, and that's going to be fun. So that was built locally. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to get.
What's that? How local?
Toronto. I think they were built. I think they were built
Built
in
those in Montreal.
Montreal. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, we actually built them in Australia
Yeah,
as
you
well.
built them as
so we got the license, obviously, same as you guys did. But I think we swapped out the 6 machine guns for 2 cannons from memory and put a different engine in it.
right. Yeah, that's
Great
normal.
fighter. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
we were talking about this. Alan was taking me out on the floor outside. You've got a Sabre out there. What were the colours? It was from you when you snowboard.
Golden Hawks.
The Golden Hawks. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just such a great aircraft.
It just looks fast.
Yeah,
looks-
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
very much that.
And it, it gave good service to Western Air Forces right into the 70s even.
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very popular aircraft over the years, and and again the classic dogfight MiG-17s versus Sabres. Anthony, I found one for you. The 1967 Chevrolet Impala 4-door AMT 125th from Supernatural, because I know you had so much fun building your Moose Cup.
My wife loves that show, so that's really neat that it's
There you
getting
go.
an
Maybe
official
there's a
kit.
Christmas gift for him.
I
Maybe.
will never build that. Or car. Just being real.
All right. Oh, and the other one I really like is, I talked about this last time, from Atlantis. They're reissuing the AH-56A Cheyenne.
Oh, that's
This
awesome.
was a helicopter that in the end they canceled it to build the Apache, but it just looks great. I think
So would this be a prototypical thing?
I think someone correct me if I'm wrong. Was it a Revell mold? Aurora? Was it Aurora mold originally?
Wow.
See?
So this is
was it Aurora? Yeah.
Reeboks.
Yeah, it's a Reeboks, but
So it'll be rough.
Isn't that cool?
Right?
Yeah, but again, this was a
Just shaking his head.
Helicopter.
It's a
Wasn't
very
sure if it was a
confused
helicopter,
but
an airplane.
yeah, but there's also sci-fi opportunities. You can keep that.
Practically science fiction.
But yeah, this was
by
built
itself.
around the same time. In the end, what happened was I looked up the history. They ended up going with the Huey Cobra for Vietnam, and then this got expensive. So then they kind of said, okay, we're going to stop and we're going to work on something new, which became the Apache. So there is some bits that
Some lineage.
there's some lineage there.
Yeah.
But
That's a really cool design.
But this was cool. So this had, again, at the time,
ugly.
Aurora at the time, movable main gun and belly tournament, retractable landing gear. You can, spin the tail rotor.
Yeah.
Kind of thing when you were kids, right? We all know that. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so that is going to be our What's Hot. So now we're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to go into What's the Scoop.
Cool.
And welcome back. We actually took a small break because some people in our audience and some people at our table like to puff. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, but that's fine. At least it's cold, right?
Well, it's actually snowing outside.
It's
so I'm
snowing
pretty
outside.
excited
There
about
you
that. We
go.
don't get snow back home.
I
so
know, well, especially this time of year.
If we get white stuff falling out of the sky, it's usually ash.
Ash, yeah,
So-
exactly. Yeah, I know you guys are having a hell of a time right now. And is the situation improving at all, or?
Yes, it is. But February traditionally back home is the worst month for fires, certainly in Victoria. So we'll just have to wait and see how we sort of work our way through that. But it's been a horror year for us for sure.
Yeah, we've been hearing about it, and I know we sent quite a few of our firefighting
You did.
guys.
You've sent. Canada has sent a huge amount of firefighters across on ongoing rotations. In fact, some of them were even here and spent Christmas and New Year's working out here, which took them away from their families, and for them
Yep.
to come all the way across
Yep.
down to Australia and do that. I'm
Exactly.
going to take my hat off to them. I thought it was actually fantastic. We've had crews from New Zealand, Papua New Guinea. The US, of course, all the major sort of allies and friends are all sort of, linking arms and sort of coming across and helping.
Well, exactly. And what always blows me away is about some of the firefighting planes. You've got like 747s and DC-10s bloody well dropping retardant. I've seen video of people.
Yeah, we don't have 747s. We've got the DC-10s that we hire.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
that.
we lost a Hercules
Yes.
about 2 weeks ago, which
Yep,
is
sad to
tragic.
hear. Yep.
But it's just such a huge effort, and the scale is something that's hard for people to
It is.
understand. I mean, 6 million hectares lost. That's
unbelievable.
That's a huge amount.
Well,
of land.
I know on your own Facebook you did post a map and you superimposed it over England,
Yeah.
and over southwestern Ontario where we are.
Yes, I
and
did that
yeah,
on
and it
purpose.
just exactly.
Yeah.
So people can really get a idea of the scope. So, all right, well, we wish all the best, of course, and so let's get to more happy matters. So now we have Anthony with what's the scoop. So Anthony,
Yeah.
What's the scoop, dude?
I'm scooping my own scoop this
You're
time.
scooping your own scoop. Is that like a blatant self-promotion?
Well, I don't know. I thought I came up with the scoop
You are a
feature.
sponsor. Yeah, that's true.
because,
That's true.
You know, there's always kind of cool stuff coming out.
Okay.
We need to highlight it. So,
Tell us about the
all
cool
right.
thing.
So there's a brand new super stand for the super standing blocks. It's coming from Sean's Custom Model Tools, so SEM Tools. As
Mm-hmm.
he came up, we talked about it and kind of hashed out a design. And you originally prompted me. You were saying, "Oh, you should."
It was
do
something
an
I love
accessory."
stands. I love accessories.
Yeah, and it is cool.
Yep.
And I ended up talking with Sean, who is doing his own line of custom model tools. He's 3D printing everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
really kind of neat. It's like building your own tools, right?
Well, he also
building
sent us
stuff.
a sample of some little sanding
He
sticks
did.
he had, which are
Yeah,
kinda cool.
that was a few episodes that
Yep.
we did a giveaway for some of his sanding sticks,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. Anyway, so he's come up with this great idea. You came up with a great idea.
Well, I came up with
actually
the idea. He
executed it.
executed it, yeah. I'm not
So
gonna take
that-
credit for
Yeah,
it.
they're available now. They're $10. We're gonna have a link up to his website.
Mm-hmm. We are.
We'll have some pictures. They
We're
look
taking
awesome.
some pictures today because
Yeah.
literally you just got them in your hot little hands today.
Yes, yep.
Sean came here and was nice enough to come along and
He did drop-
do that. And he does some amazing stuff. Like I love his
Yeah.
Tamiya tape dispenser.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Yeah, the 3D printed tool space is just absolutely amazing.
Blown up, and it's amazing. I know he's talking about getting into like some aftermarket kit parts for some Gundam kits, and he's a builder, so he's kind of making things that kind of suit what he wants, and that obviously translates to the rest of us. But yeah, they're really cool. So I'm gonna have a link on GoodmanModels.com back to his page where you can order these up. They should be live shortly,
Yep.
and yeah, I think we also can do a giveaway.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a giveaway today.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm just assigning numbers to each of the members in our audience.
Yeah. But that's not all, Stu.
That's not. Oh.
That's not all.
What else is there? Steve Jobs? Is there one more thing?
Yeah, we're gonna do for our live audience members. We're gonna do a draw at
Okay.
any choice of the super standing single,
All right.
and then we're gonna do a draw for the listeners of the episode, any choice of their super standing single.
Our listeners, the patrons, mean.
Let's do listeners.
We'll do list. We'll
We'll
do
have
listeners.
to. We're gonna have to have it.
We'll set up
on
a
comment.
I'll
or,
set up a comment. When you comment,
Yeah.
I'll add the
Or
comment.
you post a picture of your model kit you're working on.
Right. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that. So, okay. So you were saying for the audience members, they're getting their choice of a super standing block? You said? Okay, so what I did was I assigned numbers to all the audience, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. A lot of etc.
All the way to etc.
And I literally just went into random.org or Google's number generator, and I got number 1. So at the end. Oh, okay. Number 3. All right. So at the end of the show, come up and you can get your pick of.
Yeah.
You can do it at the end of the show. That's fine. Or you want to come up and say something.
I just want to know if that's it looks good.
You
Looks
have,
good.
you have a face for
Yeah,
podcasts.
yes. No, I enjoyed this podcast very much. The participants are really, really knowledgeable, and the enthusiasm is outstanding. Thank you.
And please note, we did not pay him for that. Nope, Anthony will help you pick that while we do that. We're gonna do that live. So, okay, so that's basically all it from Anthony and his self-promotion for the month, or for the week. He is terrible for that, but that's all right. Okay, now we're getting on to something that everyone wanted to see.
This is the exciting part.
This is the exciting
Yeah.
part, worldwide interest. Literally, we can say that, I think.
Absolutely.
I think we can safely say that. The Musaru Cup. Now, before I do that, I just want to point out again, we really appreciate both the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum and IPMS Hamilton for the very warm welcome and HeritageCom. And we were informed by our 2 other guests that IPMS Hamilton is doing an annual contribution to both of our podcasts, Dave.
They certainly are.
And we really thank you for your support, both of you and the members of IPMS Canada and HeritageCon. I know you folks do so much for the hobby. You guys have been treating Dave better than Anthony and I noticed that. That's all right. He's been the actual VIP. You've been able to get here, there, and everywhere. When we came in, when we came into the museum, Anthony and I today, we were running late.
Yes.
We found Dave inside a Catalina.
Yeah,
So we have a
in
nice
the rear bubble.
In the rear bubble, we have a nice picture of
You
him.
saw his head bobbing up there.
Yeah, he was very excited. So we found him there. Okay, so let's get into the Moosaroo Cup. Let's talk a little bit about this. I'm trying to remember. There was originally a comment. There was some wind-up about Canada from a certain group of Australians about how we all eat back bacon and maple syrup and stuff
Those
like.
things are very true, though.
They are true, granted.
I eat them
yes.
together.
But there was some good-natured banter. So we prompted back with some good-natured banter. And then we got a semi-anonymous email, and we all know who that was from now.
Yes, we do.
We do. And he kind of mentioned about, in Australia, they have, just like here in Canada, you have these little whistles you can attach to your front hood to keep the deer. Well, down there, they're called, what's it called?
Shuru.
Shurus, and it's to keep the kangaroos from jumping in front of your car, because that could hurt if you're the kangaroo or if you're the driver, right? So I also made note that Australia was recently nice enough to sell them the Canadian Air Force, some gently used F-18s until we get our act together and figure out what we're doing. So I decided a thought occurred to me. So I basically took a picture of an Australian F-18 that just arrived in the winter in Alberta at Cold Lake, and I photoshopped a shrew on it. And I sent it back to our friends, which, got the appropriate amount of chuckling. So we then decided, well, let's have just a little good-natured build contest, right?
Yep.
And we basically said, okay, each side will suggest a theme or a genre for the other side to build. So Ian decided to fall on his sword for our suggestion,
He did.
and it was an easy one. So as it turns out,
Oh, you have to. If you had talked to Ian, he wouldn't say it was
I
an
know
easy
he'd
one.
whine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Anthony said, "Well, have you into a mech or a Gundam, right?" And then you guys said to us, you guys wanted us to do a late '60s muscle car.
Yep.
Because neither of us are car builders. So Anthony came through for that. So we have them both here, and they're actually kind of neat because they're both in red. I noticed.
Yes.
So we have a wonderful. So what's the Gundam? Is it a Gundam or a mech? What is it?
It's both.
It's both. Okay, I want to be.
So a Gundam is a mecha.
Is a mecha.
Not all.
So what is this one?
Not all mecha are Gundam.
All right. What is this one?
Right, like in a ship and a
Yeah.
boat ship, blah blah blah.
Yeah. What is
So
this one?
this is the R Jarja,
Gesundheit.
and it's the it's a Axis
Axis.
Neo Xeon Axis
Now the Axis of
experimental
Evil?
AMX 119,
Okay.
I think.
All right. What scale?
Axis experimental mobile suit. It's 1:144 scale.
Okay. It's a lovely.
It's
red.
like an officer's prototype attack use
All right.
mobile suit.
And he whipped that out pretty damn quick.
Oh man.
He was really quick on that.
Like a
I have to admit,
tornado.
Does he work?
Yeah.
Does he work?
Does
Does
he?
he
Yeah,
just
he
leave
does.
the bench
No,
all
he
day?
works.
Wow.
No,
Is he
yeah.
married? Does he have time?
Oh, he has time.
I'm wondering how he has time when he builds all this stuff. You guys
Ian
build
is,
so
Ian's
fast.
prolific.
He's
and-
very
and we
prolific,
applaud him for
yes.
that because that's like the sort
Even though
of-
if he sends photo etches your friend, that's fine. And then Anthony built this wonderful. You want to tell us what that is?
that's a 1968 Ford Shelby GT500.
Right. So now
Custom.
there's a bit of a story there. So part of the reason, Anthony, it was a dog of a kit, and that's partially my fault. Because at last year's Heritage Con, we were really busy, and the last week we went, oh damn, we've got to get a kit for the Moosaroo Cup. So we kind of said, all right, let's just get something cheap, and because that's it was all in fun. So poor Anthony was busy flogging off his super sanding blocks here and there. So I was tasked with the job of doing that. I'm not a car buyer. I'm not a car builder. So I ended up, it was a heck of a time finding anything from that thing. So I ended up finding this. It was like $10, and as it turns out, it's an absolute dog of a kit.
It had a partially started motor.
Yeah,
And once I opened the box and started building it, I realized that there was no windscreen.
yeah. The complaints I heard every week. The complaints I heard when we were recording. But yeah, he's managed to. He got that literally done last night.
This morning.
This morning, sorry.
Yeah.
You can still smell the fumes, but
That's
it
why we were
turned
late,
out
Dave.
very well.
Sorry.
He's got. You've got the decals on it, and
No, I heard a funny tale about that. I was talking to Kyle at
Yeah.
Wheels and Wings, a good
Okay.
friend of ours, and
Yep.
he said, "Oh, be patient with that kit.
It's probably from 1968.
Kyle's probably been breathing too many model fumes from his store. You went through there.
Yeah, I actually met Kyle the other day.
Yes.
Went to Wings and Wheels and caught up with Dan, the owner, and he gave me a good tour of the shop. And
Dangerous store, isn't it?
oh yeah, well I actually came to the front. I had a big pile of kits, and because
And then he told you about the basement after that, right? Yeah.
And they said, we'll ship them for you, but the shipment cost us
Rather
$120 or something back. So I thought, so I had to sort of only choose the kits that could fit in my suitcase to take back home with me.
I have the answer. Your good wife doesn't have to buy everything. You can put some in her case,
Oh,
right?
you haven't seen her suitcase.
I know, I
It's
can
twice
imagine.
the size of mine.
I can imagine.
But talking about the car that Anthony's built, though, he's been quite cheeky and put a couple of little decals on there, which is a shout out to the boys back home.
Yeah.
There's a little decal there for Julian. I won't spoil it. I'll leave it for the
We'll have the
photos.
pictures, yes.
And there's also a decal there on the back there for Ian as well, which is a nice little sort of joke. And I won't spoil that either. I'll leave that for the pictures.
We'll
to
have the pictures.
show.
But Ian's Gundam came out just beautiful.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
did a nice
pictures
job
and
on that.
Really, really good.
So we're going to let the judges do this live?
So
and,
yeah,
and
well,
we'll
the
pass
judges.
microphone
I
over?
think
What do
the
you think?
judges have already been judging. They were already there. So,
there we go.
so gentlemen, just put that between you and any comments you want, and then you can render your decision.
Yeah, we had our flashlights out and our tape measures, and we got in there, and I'll let Ian make the statement that we both agree on.
Well, it's an interesting contrast in subjects, but the only thing common in them is the red. Two totally different genres, two totally different modeling styles involved here. Both really well executed. So both of these are really top-notch models, and they're made our job really challenging. In the end, we ended up applying both a little bit of AMP style, a little bit of merit style judging, a little bit of IPMS style, basic skills, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And we finally came up to a painful decision. We had to make a choice, right? And we weren't going to do the coin flip. We talked about it. We thought about it.
That option.
But we figured, no, we're going to get too much heat for,
Yeah.
come on, you got to make a decision. And
Oh, you're going to get heat anyway. But
oh, I know I'm going to get heat no matter what. But the fact that, well, we are a competition and we are supposed to do things properly and fairly and everything else, we both unanimously decided that the winner of this year's Musaru Cup will be Ian and his Gundam.
Wow. Well done, Ian.
Both kits are really well done. They both really deserve merit, but somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to come in second.
Congratulations. Ian's going to be very, very happy when he sees that.
My hat's off to Ian.
Yep,
Well done.
congratulations,
It's-
Ian.
It's even better than the pictures. It's better in real life.
Now the big question, Dave, is are you going to be able to get Ian down to the recording studio without bursting his head?
Oh yeah,
Is his
it'll
head
be
gonna
fairly
be-
easy.
it'll be fairly
Ian's
easy?
a very accomplished modeler, and
Yeah, he is.
won
Sure is.
numerous awards in the past at our IPMS shows back home. I can tell you model's actually going to be staying here now. It's going to go into your man cave, I believe.
Yeah, I'll
Anthony.
have a spot on the shelf for that.
Yeah.
where
All right,
it will
perfect.
Look down on me.
So it'll be like your nemesis looking down upon you from the.
Saying photo etch is your friend.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and also I believe you two gentlemen have another announcement about, because we're going to do Musaru Cup Part 2.
Actually, before we say that, there's actually another model on the table which was just here to show us, which is the Aliens APC, which in my opinion would have won against all three, but it didn't include in this win.
I understand that, but yeah, the APC is a beautiful piece of work, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in a couple of months.
Yeah, it's coming. So we've also talked about we're going to have a Musaru Cup Part 2.
Yeah, for the Musaru 2, the idea came across that you guys are trying to decide between yourselves what to do, and that's not really fair competition. So Alan and I and some other people came together and decided that what we're going to do is IPMS Hamilton and Warplane Heritage is going to sponsor the Musaru Cup next year. We're going to provide you with the subjects.
Wow.
And we'll post yours to you.
That's scary.
Yeah, collect. No. So Alan has a extensive selection from the raffle for our show coming up. We will pick something suitably interesting, suitably challenging, suitably diverse, but along the same lines. So there'll be two different subjects. So I guess Stuart, you're going to be building it this time.
That'll be up to be between Dave and Julian.
Yeah, and myself or Julian. I'm tipping it'll be Julian who'll be building it. Julian, you don't know this yet, but you'll be the one building it.
All right, we'll keep that in mind as we choose. Alan will.
Yeah, we'll advise you what your models will be when they arrive on your doorsteps.
Oh, it's very exciting. That's very exciting.
Yep, no, we're really looking forward to that, and that's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll set up some dates and all that. We were also joking when we were coming back from lunch that the Moosaroo Cup was here in Canada this year. The next year we have to all gather in Australia. So if I win 50 million, maybe we can do that. If not, we'll do like we'll do a Facebook Live or something. All this complex judging.
Well,
but that's
you
gonna
can
be
book passage on container ships now, don't
I know
you?
I can. That's true. That's true. Yeah, it fits. They have Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
A couple of
I'm
holes.
surprised what you could put in those containers.
Exactly. Maybe save yourself $120 postage. You can go back with the kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Well, we really appreciate that, and as I said, we really appreciate the support of both IPMS Hamilton and the museum here. As you've heard us talk about it, it's such a special place. Some very unique things, you often hear me rave about one of only 2 flying Lancasters in the world, and it's absolutely wonderful if you get a chance to see her fly.
Well, actually, Alan was kind enough to take me around and give me a tour, and I got inside a couple of the aircraft here, and they're kept in such great preservation and lovingly tended. But even some of the other stuff around here, Anthony and I had a go at the virtual reality bombing mission in the Lancaster over Germany.
Unbelievable.
Which, for all intents and purposes, felt like we were there, didn't it?
It felt real.
And
I could feel myself lifting off the ground when the Lancaster
Yes.
went off. So
Yeah.
I think it gives a real impression of how dangerous
Absolutely.
those people's lives were at that time, and what they put on on the line. So
Very much
unbelievable
so.
experience.
Alan, Irene, do either of you have anything else you want to mention about the museum, or
No, just we're excited about HeritageCon coming up at the end of March.
we're going to talk about that right now?
But
Exactly.
Apart from that, that's good.
So
We're glad you're here.
let's just move right on to Heritage Con, which we consider Canada's largest hobby show. At least I do. People can argue with that,
It's
but
certainly a highlight of the year.
It is.
I look forward to it.
and
every year.
they have people that come to Heritage Con. Like, we're fortunately only an hour and a half away, Anthony and I, but you have people come from all over, don't you?
We do. We have people coming up from the States to come
Yeah.
up for the weekend. People from Europe as well, and some from the UK come to the show. So
Yeah.
we're very honoured, and attendees are up to 2,100 last year, which is our highest attendance yet, with 742 contest entries and 862 models on the table. And we have guests lining up, people asking to come and do presentations. This year we have AK supporting the show again.
Wonderful.
We also have a Shoma who are doing a make and take for children. They're bringing kits in for children to build and take away, which is amazing for them. They come from Japan just to do that for us.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay. I didn't realize that, so that's going to be amazing.
So would I be correct in saying that there are over 80 contest categories and special awards, as well as amazing presentations by special guests at this particular show that's coming up?
Exactly.
You'd be right.
And it would be on the 29th of the 3rd, 2020,
That's correct. That's correct.
to be
yeah.
held here at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum.
Yes, you can see scale models next to the one-to-one real thing.
Well, if that doesn't draw you guys in, nothing will.
Exactly. It's a great day out. It really is.
And our show, we tend to cater to everybody. We have, we like to bring the kids in, and we also have cosplayers, the Garrison 501 that do all the Empire
Star
Stormtroopers,
Wars,
and we
yeah.
have the Rebels, and we have reenactors from World War II, the RAF reenactors that come in. So no, we try and make it a fun event for everybody as well as modelers. So.
Yeah, it's truly a fabulous day out. We've said that before, and as I say, Anthony and I will be here. We'll be doing recordings, some live video feed, hopefully.
Yeah, that's good.
We're going to have you on the show again before
Yep.
we have the contest.
Yeah, we look forward to
Go
giving
into
more
some
information. Yeah, more
some
information
more
about the show.
detail.
And if people want more information, they can go to www.heritageconaustralia.com judgingcon.com. Is that
Yep,
correct?
That's correct. That's
There you
our
go.
website.
There you go. So that's going to be great.
Yep.
See, it's almost like you've done this before.
It's on a
Yeah, it
script.
feels like it. I feel like I've been here before.
I can't imagine why.
He's had a microphone in front of him a couple of times.
I know.
He only did that because we're sponsoring him.
It's amazing one. It's amazing one.
One other thing I'm gonna mention, something that was just arranged today, is that we're gonna have some celebrities helping with the judging this year. Anthony has agreed to help with the judging in the Sci-Fi Gundam sections. So he's going to get some more real-time, real-life experience in the contest world.
You're a celebrity now, dude.
It's wild.
You can tell your kids.
I can't. We were talking about this earlier. I love the judging. I've been doing it wherever I can for like the past, let's say 4 or 5 years. And you start out as a junior and try and shadow more experienced guys in the different categories.
Right.
And it's just an awesome learning experience. I love it because you really get to look at what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're talking about, because we recently had an episode on AMP's judging style, because judging has come up as a bit of a hot topic in recent times.
Always.
And we're always advocating, if you want to learn more about modelling, become a volunteer judge at a show.
Yeah.
They'll take you in as a judge and they'll take you along and they'll teach you how to do it.
There's a process.
There's
there's
a process.
criteria.
And you just learn so much by putting your hand up and going along and learning how to judge other people's kits.
And I think if you just join on and you're the third member of a 3-man team and you say, hey, I've never done it, you're not a lot, there's not a lot of pressure on you, but you get to hear what the more advanced guys and gals are saying about what's been done. So you pick up a lot of things that get your own juices flowing, and really it's just a matter of volunteering some time. But like I said, you see things in a new light when somebody points something out to you.
Yep.
You say, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Or you get into the conversation, well, how did he do that?
Yeah.
That thing that put that model in that number one spot.
And I think
You
one
ask
of the
those questions.
And I think one of the things is it's going to, and both our shows we're going to talk about judging a little bit and how the importance of it.
Yeah.
And judging, I think,
hard.
especially for a lot of people who are getting back into the hobby.
Yeah.
They might remember judging from when they were kids and there was the rivet counters.
It's
and-
evolved.
Yeah, it's evolved a lot. And again, if it gets more kits out on the table, I think it's naturally a good thing for the hobby.
And that's what our ultimate aim is in both of our shows, talking about the various styles of judging, is to demystify it and to encourage people to actually enter into the shows and put kits in. And that's the only way, one of the ways, I should say, is that you can grow your skills and stretch yourself a little bit by actually going and entering kits. And as I said, also becoming a volunteer judge as well, because you learn so much on both sides. And it's all about demystifying it and getting people out there to actually have a go.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely. I really find it encouraging to come to the competitions. Number one, it gives me a kind of an artificial deadline to try and get something done, which doesn't always work for everybody, but I like that.
You got it
And then-
done. You got it done today.
I sure did. Yeah, and even though I didn't win, like winning's sort of not really
No,
the end game,
no.
right? Like that. This is a very interesting. I would have never picked that car out to build in a million years, and that.
You're welcome.
That was thanks. And I thank Ian too for kind of poking me on a little bit too. But I got to do that type of car auto finish. I'd never done that before. I'd never done custom decals. So I look at this thing. I got a couple ideas pop in my head, and then I got to figure out how to do them. So I got to grow. Yeah, I didn't win, but I grew some
But it
skills.
also works both
and,
ways
I got
because
something done.
Ian asked you for some advice.
Yeah, he didn't ask me. He got some reference material.
There was a
He asked
two-way
me,
communication.
what is this thing? What does it do?
It moves around. It makes
Yeah.
noise. Yeah. Pew pew pew.
But I actually did. I did communicate with Ian a little bit
Yep.
and asked him about a couple of techniques, and he was very willing and
Yep.
helpful. And I think sometimes people get a little too wrapped up in the they got to win the show, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And it's just it's
Well,
got to
and
be
this
kept
is-
fun and in perspective.
And this is what I love about the internet now, because the hobby is truly worldwide. 30 years ago, we'd come up to Hamilton. Hamilton would come to West, the local area. Well, now the hobby is truly worldwide.
Hasn't it always been? But now we're just
now it's
connecting
even
all the dots,
it's even more
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's both our podcast, Dave's podcast, we've got one in the eastern U.S. now. We've got one in England. You know, and it's just amazing. And they're all a community. We're all talking to each other.
It's neat to finally link up with other people who've been doing and enjoying the same things
and finding
in their own
finding
world,
different
right?
similarities. Like I've been fascinated about some of the idiosyncrasies. Like when you talk about the shows, down your end or in New Zealand and how they do. It's interesting. Just some subtle differences. And I know we've been having a lot of conversations up here today about prior to recording about how the shows run up here and things like that in the modeling community and stuff like that. So I always say we can all learn from each other. And for those who say the hobby's dying, I say BS. It's a constantly growing hobby. There's more and more people getting in because I say,
golden age.
well, you wouldn't have all these companies and all these kits. I'm continually blown away by all the kits coming out.
It's truly a golden age.
It
right,
is.
Stu?
It truly is. So, okay, so we're going to wrap this up soon. So we're going to talk about what's on the bench. So my AMT Hawk is finally done. I had a small disaster with it with one of the internal bits. After I glued it up, 24 hours later, one of the internal bits went. So I had to open it up again with much language. I managed to not scratch the paint too much, but it's done. Yeah,
Excellent.
Massive sprue gates on that AMT release, though.
Wow. But it was an older kit, so
It was an older kit. It was one I wanted to
unexpected.
build, so I can't complain. So the next one I'm building as part of our local club, IPMS London, we do a one-year build every year where we challenge people to do it. I don't know if the other clubs are similar, but about maybe 10% of the members actually get it done. So I'm doing the 1/72nd scale VF1A Valkyrie from Robotech, as I call it. You call it something else.
It's just the original source materials Macross. but
Macross, right.
It's the Macross chapter of Robotech.
Yeah, so that looks like it's going to be fun to do.
And you're going to do the Max type.
I think I'm going to do the Max one in blue.
Yeah.
Max Sterling in blue. It has blue striping. It's white with
Classic.
blue striping.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
so
an
it'll
awesome scheme.
it'll be fun, and it's a Hasegawa, so it should go together
that's a
fairly
beautiful
well. Exactly. Okay, Anthony.
Well, I finished the Mushroom Cup.
He's got that in bold. He's going to have that in bold.
It
Yeah.
was a slog. It's done as first kit of 2020, last
More or
of
less.
2019.
Whatever.
It seems like I've been building it forever.
Been building it
It's
forever.
like 32 layers of paint, and I buffed them all.
Yeah.
With a paper towel.
People, you weren't using a diaper? Baby's diaper? Okay. I thought that's
I've
what
never
people
tried
use.
it.
I thought that's what people
Paper
use.
towel has a grit.
Has to be a new diaper, though. Don't use a used one. just a little tip there.
So now it's time to put the final push on the 1/100 VF 19A Valkyrie for our in-depth report series
Yeah,
on-
that's been a really popular show. I've
Yeah.
got to release. I got to release episode 2 this weekend to the public.
Right
We've been
on.
making it available to our Patreons, and this thing,
Another
it's tiny.
challenging build.
It's tiny, but it's
Yeah.
so many. It's transformable. It's like 1/100. So
It
it's
is,
like
it's a small bird.
it's a very small kit, and it's like I'm surprised he has much better eyes than you and I, David. Because I don't know
all
how he
glasses.
does it.
All glasses.
Yeah.
I take the glasses
Yeah.
off. I can't even see what I've done.
Yeah.
It's tiny. So
But
that's
yeah,
been fun.
It's I kind of had the two things going at the same time, but I've fallen a little behind on the schedule. But I'm gonna
It's all
rectify
right.
that.
We're gonna do that. We've both been busy. Our non-modeling life, since we're not kept men,
Yeah.
we have to work for a living.
There's things to do. But
so
I've actually been working on a 1:144 scale Starkjagen, just the construction. So just been building it up in front of the TV, and I've got some plans for that.
So what is a Starkjagen for those of us who
It's
don't know?
It's like an anti-ship mobile suit.
Okay.
Like it has big rockets on it, and,
All right.
and I think it's just part of the. It's the part of the Space Force.
Space Force? Okay.
Yeah, Jagan. It's like a gym style, like a next generation gym style mobile suit. From,
Okay.
like Char's counterattack era and
Right.
later, and I think it's in Gundam Unicorn as well. Actually, the kit is from Unicorn.
Okay.
But they're revisiting an older design. Like they take place in the same era, if you will. So yeah, it's a great design.
Cool. All right, David, what's on your bench lately?
I've got a Centurion, Australian Army Centurion, which is just kicking my butt at the moment. So I've taken a bit of time out and just put it aside. I'll get to it and finish it up hopefully before middle of the year.
Okay.
I've also got, I'm building a little dingo for my dad because he used to drive them, the Daimler armoured
Oh,
car.
it's a car. For a minute, I thought you were building like an animal.
No.
I know what you meant.
Dad used to be in the British Army, and he used to drive them in the desert post World War II.
Okay.
I guess he was the 13th, 18th Queen Mary's Own. It was quite a famous regiment that fought its way through Normandy, etc., in Europe during the war. So yeah, I've got to get that built for him, and hopefully have that done within the next few months. It looks like it's going to be a quick build.
Okay.
I think that's about all I've got really sitting on my desk that I'm willing to
That's all
admit
right.
to anyway.
That's okay. We all have those. We all love that. Okay, moving on. Alan.
Okay, I just finished a Hasegawa 172nd Emily seaplane, which was an enjoyable build, big but enjoyable. Their new tooled version, and I've just started an Academy kit, Getchaman, which is a spaceship from Battle of the Planets that was in the 80s. It's like a mech type vehicle.
Well, for me, I've just finished one of the club builds I have for one of the multiple clubs that I'm in. Seems these club builds have become very popular. Everybody's got to do one, which now consumes probably 70% of my model building is for club builds. Ooh. For the one club I just finished, the subject was Scandinavian. That's what they did. So I had to build something operated by, crewed by, any era, anything Scandinavian region. So I just finished the Trumpeter 172nd scale S-tank.
Oh, what a lovely tank.
Yes, in pretty much built quickly out of the box just to finish that off. It's actually a really well engineered kit. It went together really nicely.
How did you do the camouflage?
I did. I chickened out. I did the 103B, which was, and it was the C's that they started doing that splinter camouflage.
Yeah.
So mine's just a pure green. So
There's an even easier one where it's just all over blue with a yellow cross on it.
yeah, if you
Swedish
actually looked at
flag,
if you
yeah.
actually looked at the top, I thought about that, but if you look at the top surface of that kit, there is so much crud there, you would never be able to get a straight line. I don't know how they did it in real life. There's bumps and bulges and steps and lumps and everything, plus the main gun sticking out of the middle. So I just finished that for the one club build, and I am just starting my next club build, which is for another local club, IPMS Burloak. Their build is ships. It has to be something designed as a boat. It's got to be something.
You're talking my language now, Ian.
It's going to be a boat, but I'm thinking it's on the bench. I've opened up the box. I'm going to do the Airfix rescue launch. The old 72nd scale kit.
Oh, Ian, that is a hard kit.
Well, we're going to take a crack at it and see what she shows up as. But I've got to finish it now because the Burloak chapter has a unique take on this club build thing. Their take is that everybody in the club has to build something of the subject. Whoever doesn't finish it in time, on our annual pub night meeting, they have to buy a round. So there's some serious incentive here. Some of these guys can really drink.
So what happens if every member does complete it?
Well, then you got to buy your own, but we still have fun.
So it's a motivator.
Oh, definitely a motivator.
That's a wonderful idea. Can you imagine doing that for IPMS London based on our 10% rate? I don't think any of us would last.
I finished a club build once. It
Yeah.
took about 5 years.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be done in one.
It was the 1 year build, yeah.
Yeah, but you took 5 years. That's pretty well
And I
standard.
started it 15 years before
Ah,
the new
right,
build came
okay.
out.
Can't take them anywhere. Can't take them anywhere. All right. I just want to mention as well, we had a nice guest today. We had our good friends at WMD Canada. We've previously had a videotape interview. They're going to be vending, but I was going to add this to the show notes and I didn't get time, but they've got a new paint rack design coming out. So going to be designed for Vallejo, Model Master, Citadel, or Tamiya. We're going to see that at the show, aren't we? All right, we're going to see that at Heritage Con. We will do an interview with you when I'm there. You'll find me come by with my annoying microphone. Yeah, so that'll be good too. So check that out. You're still doing your wonderful wood and metal displays. So that's good. So if you look back at my Heritage Con special on our YouTube channel, we had a great video interview. So thank you for coming today as well. That's awesome. So we really want to thank all of our audience who stuck around for us through all the foibles and all that. And of course, we want to thank our audiences the world over. We want to thank you folks at the museum and the club. Thank you again. Thank you for picking up David at the train station so he wouldn't get lost. We don't want him to get lost in Canada somewhere, you know. Where am I? I'm in somewhere called Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah, you've gone too far. And again, David, thank you for taking time out of your holiday.
Oh, it's quite all right.
And please thank Michelle for letting you come down and play with the boys for a day.
Well, here's a dangerous thing. She's out shopping while I'm here with her sister.
Yeah.
And she's got my credit card.
Oh, yeah. So they're probably hitting the Holt Renfrew and Yorkdale. Yeah. Did she mention Yorkdale?
I don't know where they said they were going.
I have a feeling you and your brother-in-law will be probably having a few drinks tonight then. Oh my. So that's why you couldn't convince her to put the extra kits in her case.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
dear.
I'll have to buy another suitcase, I think, and take it back with me. I can see it coming a mile away. Anyway.
Oh, I just bought a few extra things, honey. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
My wife is a knitter.
Yeah.
God bless her. And yeah, it's equal thing. If you have a knitter, it's still sneaking the latest purchase past the spouse to put it in stash.
But I've got to say, I've really enjoyed my time here in Canada. As I said, I've been here a number of times before, but each time you come out and, you know, everybody's so welcoming and willing to sort of, you know, take a couple of dollars out of my pocket. So thanks very
We do
much.
try.
Canada.
We
No,
do
I'm only joking. In all seriousness, it's a great place to visit, and I reckon winter is the best time to come up here. I really do.
Well, you haven't really been through a good Canadian winter yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we've been lucky this year, or a good snow streamer or whatever.
True.
But it is good for model building.
But you know what we're going to do though, Stuart, don't
Yeah,
you?
what?
We have to somehow get down to Kentucky and meet the good old boys,
Yeah,
those
we gotta meet them.
banjo-plucking
Oh, boy.
hayseeds down south in Kentucky,
I
and
tell
catch
you-
up with Mike and David.
Mike
there.
and Dave.
Yeah.
I was chatting with Mike about something else the other day, and he was most amused about the way you
Yes.
guys described that. He was having a chuckle.
Something we need to time around Wonderfest.
We need some time around Wonderfest
Yeah,
or
that'd
something.
be pretty
And you
cool.
realize if you're ever in Canada for either Heritage Con or our show in September, you've got a standing invite. Although you will be voluntold to be a judge, I believe.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah,
I could do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's always a good time. So, I just want to briefly mention, and we're gonna also put the links up in the show notes. So, as I said, we always talk about checking out On the Bench. Of course, we always mention you guys.
On the Bench, the podcast to listen to. Just tune to any podcast app and
Wherever
put
your
in
finer
On the
quality
Bench, and you'll
podcasts
find
are
us.
fine. And we just mentioned Scale Model Mojo, which is a fairly new podcast with Mike and Dave. And they have a really unique take on things.
They do.
I love the fact, and you were saying this during your last show, and on how they always indicate what libation they're starting the evening
Yes,
with.
that's a very good way of doing modelling.
Yeah, it's a good way of figuring out what bourbon I want to
Ian
try
has found
next.
out to his peril that you shouldn't drink and shop online for modelling.
Yes, we all joked about that when Ian, what is it? What did he end up buying? A ship?
Yeah.
He ended up buying something huge.
Something big and very expensive.
1/200th, and then of
Yeah.
course he's going to want all the photo edge.
Yes.
Which is going to be another like 800. Yeah, we all chuckled at that when we heard that. And then of course our friends in England at the Scale Model Shed. Now, right now they're still trying to figure out when they're coming out. They've been saying monthly, but they're doing a lot of little specials.
A couple
in
of likely,
between.
there's 3 likely lads over there,
Yeah.
as we like to say. Isn't that the right way of saying it, Alan?
Yep.
Some
Yep.
likely lads over there from the Scale Model Shed.
Yep.
They've got a great little show over there.
They do, and they've also got all 3 of them have very well established YouTube channels, and they're all very good modelers. So it's great to hear that. So every 2 weeks or so, you're getting like hours and hours of quality content.
Absolutely.
So stuff to listen to. All right, so that is it for this week. So as always, don't forget to subscribe and let us know if you have any comments or suggestions at scalemodelpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any complaints, on the bench 64. No. We also record bi-weekly and wherever your favorite podcasts are found, including iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. We have a website at scalemodelpodcast.com. That's where you, of course, get the show notes in the gallery. And feel free to like and subscribe on our Facebook page. We also want to mention once again the Patreon page at patreon.com/scalemodelpodcast. So for episode 39, I'm Stuart Clark.
I'm Anthony Goodman.
I'm Dave Goldfinch.
I'm Alan Morrell.
I'm Ian Fraser.
Thank you and be well.